I simply call my opponent to a much higher level of diabolical treatment. I likewise turn your attention to a horrific, out-of-context citation where a verse was cut in half so that its actual teaching was robbed from you. 1 Corinthians 8, verse 6. But to us there is but one God. That's all you got. I saw this happen in a debate just a few weeks ago. I do not understand this. I would never do this to the Quran, because all someone has to do is go, could you read the rest of the verse, please? Because 1 Corinthians 8, 6 says, but to us there is but one God, from whom are all things, and we unto him, and one Lord Jesus Christ, through whom are all things, and we through him. This is Paul's restatement of the great Shema of the Old Testament, filling it in Christian revelation with Jesus Christ being the creator of all things. How can you quote only part of a verse when the rest of it teaches the deity of Christ? I cannot begin to comprehend this. We were told that every single word of what I said has been disputed. By whom? If I were to get up here and start quoting Shiites and Druze and every other off-center group of Muslims and say, everything he says is disputed, could we ever accomplish anything? If you're going to say it's been disputed, please name by whom, so we can examine the sources and have a scholarly debate. We were asked, did any Old Testament prophet speak as a Christian speaks? Of course not. What did I say in my opening statement? The revelation of the doctrine of the Trinity and the deity of Christ takes place when? In the incarnation of Jesus Christ. When did that happen? After all the Old Testament prophets. It takes place between the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's why the New Testament writers then take all those words about God in the Old Testament and apply them to Jesus in the New. We're told Jesus did not speak Greek. Really? Almost everybody in that land did. You had to, because that's what the Roman soldiers spoke, and you better know what they were telling you to do. He said he cited major encyclopedias. Folks, this is a debate that's supposed to be a scholarly debate. I'm a teacher. I do not allow my students to quote the Encyclopedia Britannica in a scholarly paper. You go to true scholarship. When I study Islam, I have spent I don't know how much money to obtain their best materials. Why are we quoting internet encyclopedias this evening? We are told Hosea 11:9 and Numbers 23:19 says God is not a man. Of course not. It is not our claim that God has eternally been a man. It is our claim that the eternal God who created all things entered into his own creation. I want to ask a question of my opponent this evening. Will you stand before us and say, it is beyond the power of Allah to enter into that which he created? Will you say that, yes or no? Are you going to, then we were scolded in the last debate for anyone daring to talk about the Quran who doesn't know Arabic. But everything I brought up in regards to the text of the New Testament was dismissed by saying, well, I don't read Greek. Take it up with the people that I'm citing. Can you imagine if we were having a debate on the Quran, and I got up here and I made a bunch of basic errors in regards to the nature of the Quran. I miscited it. I mistranslated it. I went against all the major Islamic translations of the Quran, and I said, hey, I found that in your guys' books. Don't talk to me. I don't read Arabic. How scholarly would that be? I don't understand that. I can open up the Quran here, sir. And I've taken the time to be able to realize that this tells me, Kul huwa Allah ahad, Allahu samad, lem yalid wa lam yulid. He neither begets nor is he begotten, correct? Lem yalid wa lam yulid? Yes. I'm taking time to go, this is what it says. And I can go here, and I can go to the Hebrew, and I can see Yalad is the same root, and that comes out in Isaiah 9:6, which says, to us, a son is given, a child is born, a Yalid. That was written 1,300 years before this. Why do I believe this comes 1,300 years later? We were told, for example, over and over again, that the word theos is used of Satan in 2 Corinthians 4:4. Actually, a good friend of mine, Don Hartley, has written an excellent thesis where he disputes that's actually about Satan. But even if it was, that is irrelevant. Words only have meanings in a given context. And the context of John 1:1 has nothing to do with Satan. Every time you hear it brought up, well, theos can be used it that way, it is a red herring. We were told that looking at monogenes, meaning unique, is a trick. No, that's called translating the Greek language accurately in accordance with the best scholarship that is available today. We were told that these words were written by people who never knew Jesus. Prove it. I can simply say to you, everything in the Quran that has nothing to do with Muhammad. Prove it. You can't just make overarching statements like this and not back it up with serious argumentation. He said that stuff I got about Constantine, I got from their books. You didn't get it from mine, and you didn't get it from any serious historical work because it's just false. If you're going to say Constantine forced the Trinity on Christianity, then go back and prove it. I can prove he didn't, but you're making the assertion. That's what scholarly debates are about.